What's up, ladies and gents? Welcome to the podonthego show. I'm your host, Raz. Today's a special episode, and no longer will I be a tyrant and judging podcasts. With the segment I do called Your Favorite Podcast Sucks, so analyzing a great podcast, I realized that it was all subjective. It was just my opinion. No longer will that happen. Henceforth, all podcasts will be subject to a set of criteria and judged equally under the law in this great nation of podcasts, podonthego country. And the 6 criteria. Number 1 is production. Is it produced well? Is the audio level? Or do the intro and outro match the feel and vibe of your show? Is there background music and does it overwhelm? Are there ads and do they actually help your audience? Does the podcast stay on topic? Have you done prep work for your interview, guest, or content? Production is a huge key to a podcast, and every podcast is not produced equally. Some are, head and shoulders above the rest. Some have huge teams and some have one person, and I try to take that into account as well. Entertainment. Criteria number 2. Did I laugh or smile? Did it distract from my daily stressors? Was I immersed enough to forget where I was in real life? Did I stay in the car, in my driveway to hear the rest of an episode? Do I work out longer or harder because I want to finish the podcast? Entertainment is a big key to a successful podcast. Otherwise, people aren't going to listen if there's not a reason for them to be entertained. Next, education. Did I learn something? Will I be able to take what I heard and apply it to my life? Did a guest story inspire me to be better? Was my point of view changed on a topic or issue? Education doesn't just have to be reciting something you learned from a book or teaching a subject, teaching a course. Education is also, did you learn something that you can apply in life? Just like from special guest story, life story. Maybe my story relates to their story, and maybe they went through the same thing I did as a kid, and I can relate to them more, so I can learn something and learn how they adapted and how they evolved, and maybe I can do the same. That's education, learning from something. Engagement. Does it engage the audience? Are they thinking about the listener? Are they asking and answering listener questions? Do they shout out their followers and supporters? Do I have a name as a listener? Is there a community or a way for me to connect with the host or even the host team? Your audience is your most valuable asset on your podcast. Otherwise, if you don't have a community of dedicated listeners who love you or will fight for you and will speak up for you, you don't have anything. You can't sell ads. You can't find sponsors. You can't negotiate, and create bigger projects and better projects. If you don't have an audience, you don't have anything. Something to keep in mind. So you have to engage your audience. Every podcast doesn't do it. Uniqueness. Is it distinctive from other podcasts on a similar topic? Does it plagiarize or has the host been inspired by others? I think it was Picasso had that great quote about, great artists steal or something like that. Yeah, you can steal as an artist, but it still has to be your flavor. It's different. So when EO Fire first came out, Entrepreneur on Fire with John Lee Dumas, there was a lot of copycats. Other people just started a 7-day show, asking people the same questions, thinking they were gonna receive the same amount of success that he did. But he was unique when he did it, and they're just copiers. It's a difference. So is your show unique, or are you just a copycat? Does the host add a unique perspective? Is there a specific niche topic? Are the research and prep work phenomenal compared to other shows? If you're not unique in some way, and there's a lot of podcasts that do this great, and a lot of podcasts that do it badly, but is it unique? Are you trying new things? And lastly, this is a yes or no answer. It's the X factor. Do they have the X factor? This is what I think about when I listen to a lot of podcasts. Do I feel a part of the show, or am I just a spectator? That's a big deal. But anyway, when I listen to a podcast, do I feel like I'm a part of the show, or am I just a spectator? Am I a fly on the wall, or am I a team member that's a part of the community? Would I cash out them $40 or PayPal them $40 if they ask for it? Do I feel compelled to share the podcast? If I hear something good, do I feel like I have to share it with my friends? If I saw them at a conference or in a restaurant, would I wait in line to talk to them? It's a lot of people I wouldn't. And it's this, so the X factor is just my personal opinion. And, I said I was going to keep it, not be a tyrannical, whatever, leader, ruler over the ratings, but whatever, it's my show. So this is not going to factor into whether it's a great podcast or not, but it is something that factors into what I recommend you guys listen to or don't listen to. So how is it rated? Each of the first 5 criteria will be given a number from 1 to 30. 150 is the maximum a podcast can receive if they're great. 5 is the lowest if they suck. So let's go through a podcast I did in the past. Joe Rogan's podcast, right? Production. On a scale of 1 to 30, I think it's a 21. I think it might have been a 29 or a 28 when he was in the old studio, but now in the new studio with all the red and with the, it's just so dark, you can't see it. The production is just down. And he's only getting a 21 because of Jamie. I think Jamie's one of the best producers ever. Like the way he can kind of think ahead to what Joe's going to ask him. And I already have it pulled up on the screen so they can look at and talk about. I think Jamie's probably one of the best podcast producers in the nation. No doubt about it. So 21 production. So it's still professional level. Over a 20 is still a pro level podcast or a pro level rating. Entertainment. Do I laugh? Do I sit in the car to listen to a show? Yes, I do. Just about every podcast I do, I find something funny. I will work out harder or longer, like if it's David Goggins or if it's Jordan Peterson or Alex Jones or whoever he has on the show. He has great guests on the show. Even Joey Diaz, when he has his comedian friends on, those are funny episodes. I think that's pretty cool. So it's pro level entertainment. It would be a 30, but I just don't find Joe Rogan funny. I could watch this entire stand-up act and not laugh, and I've done that before. A lot of times, even when he laughs at stuff, I don't laugh at the stuff he laughs at. But he brings on hilarious people. He had Miss Pat. Miss Pat was on the show, and that was one of the most funniest podcasts I've ever watched because she's just a hilarious woman. And I ended up subscribing to her podcast, and I think she has a great podcast as well. The Pat Down with Miss Pat. So 20. Education, 25. Pro level. Probably one of the highest ratings I ever give, but I always learn something from the Joe Rogan experience because of the guests he has on. He has on cool guests. I think about Neil deGrasse Tyson. Again, Jordan Peterson. I think about, I can't think of his name, but he did the TED Talk on, the KKK is a black man, a black jazz player, blues player. And he kind of infiltrated the KKK and ended up getting dozens of people to resign and drop out and send him their memorabilia. That was a tremendous podcast. And it wouldn't have happened without the Joe Rogan experience. So yeah, 25, I'll always learn something on the show. And my perspectives always changed on a lot of topics. Because he is a great interviewer and because he's unbiased and he gets so many people from different aspects of life. That's something that's really cool. Engagement. I gave him a 7. I don't think he engages enough with his audience. And especially, I think it was different when he was on YouTube specifically because he had the comment section and they never deleted comments. They never moderated comments really that I know of. And he had the best comment section in America on his YouTube channel, hands down. And now that he's moved to Spotify, there's no comments, there's no live reactions, there's none of that. You can't keep it. There might be a subreddit or a Facebook group or something that is just for Joe Rogan lovers that they can talk to each other about episodes. That's cool, but I'm not a part of it, so I don't think he engages his audience enough. And I think he puts up a ton of ads in the beginning of the show, and that's cool. And he, so he can make money off of it. But engagement with his audience is very low, so a 7. Uniqueness, I think it's a 15. It's just mediocre in that way. It's unique in that Joe Rogan is unique. The fact that he has so many interests and he's so good at a lot of things, between stand-up comedy and being a TV personality and an actor and a UFC commentator and a martial artist and a hunter and fisherman and runner and athlete and jiu-jitsu black belt. I don't know if he's a black belt, probably a black belt. He covers so many bases. It's unique in that he can interview anybody and be genuinely interested and pull something great out of them because he has such a unique life. So that's really cool, right? So that's why he gets a 15. But other than that, it's just an interview show. It's just an interview show, and he's not doing anything cool. The one cool thing is that he created I think it was like the fight night or the companion watch where it was like, him and his buddies watching UFC fights, or sometimes he'll just have a bunch of comedians on. So that's cool. That's what it's unique, but it's only unique because of him. So he gets a 15. And X Factor, do I feel like I'm a part of it? No. If I went to a comedy show and saw Joe Rogan, would I wait in line after the show to talk to him? No, because for one, he wouldn't be there. I think he just leaves after shows. I don't think he talks to anybody anymore. So, no, I don't think it's the X Factor. I don't feel a part of the show. I wouldn't send him any money. I wouldn't send him $40 if he asked for it. So, no. He doesn't have the X Factor. He doesn't have that thing. So, total, 88. Is it great? No. It is unadulterated mediocrity. It's the middle of the road. It's just the average podcast. And the reason it's good is because of his reach. You know, he can get amazing guests on there. He always has a great lineup of experts come on, or just local people come on, people you never would have heard of otherwise if it wasn't for his show. So that is really cool. But outside of that, is it breaking any new ground? I don't think so. Is he interacting with his audience? No. Could he improve the production? Of course. I think it's just the average podcast that's popular. And that's something that I'm gonna start talking about a little bit more. Just because a podcast is successful doesn't mean it's the best podcast. Just because a comedian is successful doesn't mean they're the best comedian. Kevin Hart is probably one of the most successful comedians. And is he good? Yeah. Yeah, he's good. But is he the greatest comedian ever? No. I don't think many people put him in their top 5 when you say greatest comedians of all time. Kevin Hart is not in that top 5. The same with podcasting. Is Joe Rogan probably the most successful podcast of all time? But it doesn't mean they're the greatest podcasters. So that's one of my goals with this show, is to hopefully shine some light on some of the great podcasts out there and take some light away, take some shine away from these successful podcasts with a lot of reach that aren't really that good. All right, guys. Thank you for watching. I hope that explains how the new process is going to work for me rating a podcast, and I hope that helps you guys. If you want to check out all the ratings and all the ratings of past shows I've done, your first time coming to the channel, then you can go to podonthego.com/ratings. And it'll show you every rating I've ever done on the channel for a podcast. Past, present, future. All right, guys. I'm Raz. Thanks for watching. Peace out.